souls, thank you very much. Welcome to The Late Show, coming live to you around Australia on the ABC. And how much does it cost our viewers these days? 8 cents a day. And we promise you will be getting your 8 cents worth tonight. 8 cents of entertainment coming your way. Not a cent more, not a cent less, 8 cents.
Thank you to the entire cast of Channel 9's New Faces Discoveries for collaborating together for our very special theme. And welcome to episode 9 of the Champagne Comedy Podcast, where we talk about the best Australian comedy show from the 90s ever made, The Late Show, and other D-Generation comedy tidbits. My name is Matt, and joining this podcast today is in alphabetical order, Alison, Daniel, Kim, and Prue. And we're up to episode 9. How about that?
Yeah. Almost up to double digits.
And because of that, this will be the final episode of 2020. So we hit the double digits next year. We're all well, we're all happy, and we've all had our dosage of The Late Show, really, for this podcast, or otherwise we wouldn't really be here.
In lieu of a vaccine, I have watched episode 9 of The Late Show, yes.
That'll protect you.
It will. If I stay inside and continue to watch The Late Show, I will not get the coronavirus.
Now, I will have to say one thing. That very special audio snippet at the very beginning was, well, that was Kim. Kim, would you like to explain it?
Oh, yes. So that was my friend Kineo and I. Kineo was also a very obsessive Late Show fan, and she had entire books of transcripts handwritten from the episodes. And from that particular book, we were reading a sketch from The Late Show intro, Mick and Tony. I can't remember who was who. But I found that video a couple of years ago, and it's from 1994. So that was still a couple of years after The Late Show started. We were still obsessively listening and recapping and memorizing and acting out bits all throughout high school and beyond, and even today. But I think I'm not the only one. There was a member of the forum who joined recently who mentioned how they are still acting out sketches 27 years later.
Hey, we all did that. I did that in school when I would just do random quotes from The Late Show, and people, all my other classmates, would just go, "What the hell are you on about?"
I'm still doing it on Twitter, so I love how hardcore that is, videoing yourselves doing the Mick and Tony monologue.
And I think we were fairly quiet. Maybe we just didn't want anyone upstairs to hear us. Very strange
like
ladies.
We're doing something
ladies.
extremely nerdy. Please lock it down.
Exactly. 8 cents a day. No one understands.
Do you reckon there are people these days on like Instagram or TikTok who are acting out, last Saturday's Saturday Night Live sketches or something like that?
Oh, yeah. Well, there was a TikTok sensation who just used to mime ScoMo's press conferences, and she became like TikTok famous.
Yeah, perhaps we should set a new trend of miming old DJ stuff.
Yeah. It's Tommy G at the news desk.
Well, I live not far from Movie World on the Gold Coast, and the amount of times I've been tempted to go and stand under the sign and just say wheelchairs and strollers at the entrance.
I definitely did that in 1993. And the funny thing is that I was there sort of recently, like maybe a couple of years ago, and I was trying to tell my kids about it, which, of course, is insane. They don't have any of the reference material. Why would they laugh at wheelchairs and strollers? Anyway, as I was telling my kids, I saw someone else do it who was about my age, and I went, yes, brilliant.
Champagne comedy.
Champagne comedy. That's what that was.
Did you go up to them?
No, I was just admiring from afar.
Back to your video, Kim, and because that actually went out on Twitter, because a Twitter follower, Happy Slasher, mistook Alison in regards to talking about Jane and Tommy G with a little bit of a love nest going, which didn't really happen. And it was more or less a cover-up from Rob. And you sent out that video, and Jane was part of that Twitter.
Yeah, she replied and said, "This is gold," and had a whole load of happy emojis after that. So that was good. I actually did meet Jane a couple of years ago. It was during the Kennedy Malloy's long lunch, and I was invited to go there. And I went with Kineo. That was the first time that she'd been out since she had her baby. So there was unlimited booze there, and we had all our Late Show paraphernalia. We had the folder from school and the DVD that they signed and my copy of Who Weekly from 1992. And she was like, "Whoa." People are weird. She was probably thinking that. But she happily posed for a photo with us and Mick as well. So that was good, being able to meet them finally.
And that flashback is on the Champagne Comedy website. So if you go there and check out the news, you'll see the article there. So before we get into Season 1, Episode 9 of The Late Show, Daniel, what was happening in the TV guide back in that time of 1992?
Yeah, okay, so again, Saturday night is basically movie night on all the commercial channels and SBS. So on Channel 7, we had Dirty Dancing. Can you tell I'm from Adelaide? Not dancing, dancing. And Ross Warneke puts his little comments next to all of the listings on a Saturday in the Age. So he's very kindly labelled Dirty Dancing as a 1987 dance floor melodrama. Innocuous story pitched squarely at teenagers about a girl, Jennifer Grey, who falls for a resort hotel's dance instructor, Patrick Swayze. Then over on Channel 9, we've got a film from 1988. Wouldn't be from 1998. That's a bit weird. It's called Rent-A-Cop. The first of an uninspiring Burt Reynolds double bill. The other one was Hooper from 1978. He plays a Chicago detective suspended after a drug bust goes wrong. Everyone except him is killed. Then he and a prostitute, Eliza Minnelli, team up to track down the man really responsible for the carnage.
Doesn't that sound interesting as a plot?
Especially Eliza Minnelli as a lady of the night.
Yeah. Do you want an hour with me? that I'm sure was her pickup line.
Then over on Channel 10, we've got a James Bond movie, but probably not one that's... I don't think this is part of the canon. Never Say Never Again from 1983.
That's canon. That's canon. Yeah.
Is it? Anyhow, Warneke says that it's Sean Connery's first 007 movie in more than a decade. In a rehash of the Thunderball plot, Bond must stop Spectre from detonating 2 stolen nuclear missiles which it is using to blackmail the West. Over on SBS, we've got a 1950 British thriller called The Dark Man. Police are mystified, perhaps flummoxed, by a series of murders in a seaside resort with Edward Underdown, whoever he is. And last of all, we've got the ABC. So 2 episodes ago, we had the last episode of Smith and Jones. Last episode, we had, nothing, because The Late Show was early, because we had Stomp 'Em Ground. So this week, we've got a brand new lead-in. And unfortunately, it's still not Birds of a Feather. I kind of want to see if you can maybe guess what it is. First of all, it is British. Any guesses from that?
Alexi Sales stuff.
Oh, you looked it up, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I just kind of remember that it was on.
Yes, it is Alexi Sales stuff, which it's the 3rd series from 1991. And it's sort of, it's mostly a sketch comedy, but also with stand-up pieces to camera that Alexi would do. And in my opinion, not a bad lead-in to The Late Show, really.
Yeah, it's just it's one of my favourite series of that era. Alexi Sales stuff. It's really, really funny. And I've actually been watching it recently in lockdown and it's stood up incredibly well. So dig out your VHS copies or your DVDs and enjoy Alexi Sales stuff, I would say.
I will say that there's not too much of season 3 up on the YouTube, but there's a fair bit of season 2, which starts off with the premise that Alexi Sale is really a Mickey Mouse style cartoon character who's been who's been animated for 50 years. starting with Steamboat Fatty. So, not a bad lead-in with Alexi Sale. And then after the Late Show at 11 o'clock, the highlights of the week's events in federal parliament, the high-rating order in the House.
Yes.
And then at midnight, Rage with guest programmer Henry Rollins.
Ooh.
Thank you very much for that, Daniel. And let's get into Season 1, Episode 9 of The Late Show, broadcast on Saturday, September 12, 1992. Now, we have a very odd opening. It's pretty much cold, and it's Tony apologising for Mick not being around due to, quote, contract negotiations, unquote, and shows a photo of Mick in a very reflective mood, where it's pretty much a page out of his Mick 1993 calendar.
It's a fart lighting photo.
And Tony warns that his grandmother will be replacing Mick, and it's the lovely Myrtle Woods. I mean,
Yay,
no, it's Tony's real grandmother.
Tony says that Mick won't be taking part due to a breakdown in contract negotiations. I couldn't find anything that could suggest that was inspired by something in the news or anything in real life. Like, does anybody have any recollections?
I wondered that and couldn't think of anything.
The only thing I could think of really is maybe Steve Vizard, because after a while, after his first year or so, then he only started doing 4 shows a week. And that's when every Friday you had a different guest. Maybe
Richard Stubbs.
Yeah, Stubbsy, Cameron Daddo, Agro at one stage.
Maybe that is it, yeah.
I'm not sure when that part of Tonight Live started to happen, where he started giving up on Fridays. After Tony mentions about his grandmother replacing Mick, we have the opening titles, then the opening remarks with Tony and grandmother Mick. And I did quotation marks again. Oh, I've got to stop doing it. It's a podcast, not... And all the Tony and Mick sparkling repertoire jokes are falling flat, as they were built around Mick, such as, Tony's a bit depressed because his girlfriend left him for a tontine pillow. And
no, the body pillow.
Oh, the body pillow. Yeah.
Yeah, they were a pretty amazing thing when they came out.
And Tony has a new book inspired by Wes Wally called Wes Salmon. And you have his grandmother showing the book, and it's in regards to Salman Rushdie suddenly going into hiding at the time.
Hours of fun for kids and Muslim extremists alike, as Tony says. I quite like the repartee between Tony and Myrtle, because I think Myrtle ad-libs a fair bit and sort of notices how Tony says that she looks different and it could be a haircut, and gives a nice little I say, which just absolutely cracks the audience up.
She's very charming, isn't she, Myrtle Woods? I think she really charms the audience into kind of going with her on something where, as you say, some of the jokes do fall a bit flat and they do fluff a bit.
I also like how Myrtle pulls out one of Mick's lines, well, I'm not here for a haircut. It sounds very warm and friendly coming out of the mouth of a grandmother.
So we have the news desk with Tommy G, and here we go. Canberra, Prime Minister Paul Keating greets South Korean Trade Minister in a mischievous mood with, hand scene, hand buzzer, bzz, but refuses to fall for the whoopee cushion when Keating offers him a chair. So 2 visual jokes. Princess of Wales celebrates 100 days of not being in public with her husband. Oh, God, that calls for a... And she's cutting a cake which says, "Congratulations, Squidgy. Referring to Squidgygate, which is the taped conversations. And Australian Paralympian thrown out of the Olympics after allegations of cheating, and footage of someone on an electric wheelchair.
Not a bad gag, that one. Gets a little bit of an ooh, but I think Tommy kind of gets away with it.
Now for a serious type of mode, Massacre in Siski. And the worst ever since Gareth Evans' last visit.
Yep. Deserved that.
Yep. South African President F.W. de Klerk goes on the news desk via satellite with a response to the massacre, saying that they deserved it. And would you like to know what the FW stands for?
Yeah, I love that bit. I
They must
love that whole...
films.
I love that whole bit where Rob goes, "You twist, you put facts in the story."
Yes.
Rugby tours. We must continue to have rugby tours.
Fantastic.
So many lines in this sketch that I remember, but also it was on the videos, I think, this sketch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Well, this one gets quoted a lot.
It got slightly cut off at the end because on the best of video, it ends with, "Would you like to know what FW stands for?" and Tom saying no idea. But on the actual tape, it actually extends a bit with Rob as the clerk saying, "The second word is wit. The first word you have to beep out."
Yeah, that was quite funny. I can actually remember watching this. Like, I have a really vivid memory of watching it at the time. And when Rob says whites, jungle bunnies, jigaboos, I can remember, like, my family sort of screaming out aloud, like, "Oh!" You know, that shock of, like, that laughter that's just like, what did he just say on national television?
Yeah, you're not supposed to say that.
But I think it is a very funny thing to say in the context of how he's saying it, but it's a shock, definitely.
That's a lot of the everything's in context and product of its time all over again.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Now, also, does anybody know what FW actually stands for?
Well,
Did
I'm
anybody look it up?
I'm going to go with like Frederick Walter or something like that.
Oh, close. Frederick Willem.
Ooh.
of course.
Yeah.
So there you go. Now you know.
Yeah. Frederick Willem. Right.
I also like how at the end, Tom looks up possibly to some sort of a monitor to sort of check whether Rob is off screen right at the end. A very subtle thing, but I think it's again because Tom's playing silly buggers with that what does FW stand for line.
Well, the fighting continues in Bosnia, and it's autumn, and they show a footage of a man chopping wood for supplies, and then footage of a building burning. And yeah, this is very visual, so I'm going to just skip this one. So it was in regards to, it's just war-torn, fire, stuff. This one's really hard to explain.
The only joke I like out of this is Tom saying that Serb forces are agreeing to hand over all heavy weapons to UN peacekeepers, but in the form of firing them off. So mortar shells, bullets, missiles, and it's very serious war footage. I'm amazed at how, well, I'm assuming mostly Tommy, but I'm amazed at how they're able to spin jokes out of serious war footage.
You got to give them credit for like what they tried to do at the time.
Have we got the sound for that? Product of its time.
Oh no! We'll have to save that. There's a whole new. We've got a new Champagne Comedy podcast for next year 2.0 where it's going to be sound effects galore.
If we're not careful, we're going to turn this into a drinking game, you know.
Oh
yeah.
Don't make me press the Warnicky or Fidget buttons. Now to Canberra to decriminalise smoking and possessing marijuana. People being caught won't be charged or appear in court, but may be forced to appear on supermarket sweep.
Did anyone look up supermarket sweep episodes after watching this? Because I did.
Good old Ian Turpey.
Yeah, I used to.
I still got it burned into my brain from the 90s. I used to watch it.
No need
I used to like watching it as well. I didn't realise just how daggy it was, but it's a lot of fun, and you learn a lot about groceries.
You always go for the nappies; they're the most expensive.
Yeah, nappies.
Yeah, nappies, baby formula, big packs of detergent. I know most of this, not from watching the Australian version with Ian Turpey, but there's a game show channel called Buzzer. It's BUZZR without the E, which plays a lot of episodes of the US version with hosted by David Ruprecht. When you're in line at the supermarket and you hear the beep, doot, doot, think of all the fun you could have on Everybody Supermarket Sweep.
All this talk is reminding me of the scene in The Castle where Sophie Lee loses on The Price is Right because she didn't know the price of her luggage.
Well, see, this is the other thing. Like, I'm thinking I would be absolutely crap on Price is Right or Supermarket Sweep because I hardly ever buy anything full price. I wouldn't know the regular price of anything.
Yeah.
Like, it's mostly stuff on special or stuff with that reduced for quick sale sticker on it.
And if you shop at Aldi, you just need to know the price of skis and carrot that you can build yourself.
To Victoria, and in an investigation into the collapse of the Tricontinental Bank, former director Ian Johns, Santo, joins Tommy in the studio to not answer any questions.
I love this bit. It reminded me of like a university sketch, you know, like it was just, I'm not answering a question. That's a question, you know. It was very childish. It was great.
Very
It's
well
quite
written, though.
To have someone join Tom on the news desk, particularly Santo. I don't think Santo's ever been in the news desk, or ever is it in again. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like maybe we have seen him, but I can't remember it.
Well, he does appear again later on, but I think it might be a pre-recorded bit in the news desk.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert.
Also, I know this is harking back to our scintillating conversation about interest rates in the 90s, but...
No. Hold on. Flashback time.
Well, it's not exciting. But they often bring up, like, the Pyramid Building Society crash of this time, and it was a very, I suppose, specific to Victoria. But I do actually know people who lost their entire life savings in this particular building society crash. So it was tragic. Like, it was a horrible, horrible thing.
Didn't this cost Joan Kerner a lot?
Yeah,
or was it part of
I
it?
think
The slipper.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
because later on they say, thanks for getting Jeff Kennett elected. And I think that's actually what happened.
Yeah, and yeah, not very good publicity because there was a Victorian state election campaign happening at the time of this episode as well. So, yeah, not a good look.
No. To wrap up the news desk, we have the music news with Lost Beatles songs found lying around in studio vaults. They weren't released as they were experimenting with a fifth Beatle, Frank, and there's Santo playing the accordion.
I enjoyed this.
Yeah, I want to hear more from Lost Beatle Frank.
He looks a bit like Frank Spencer, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Some others do have him.
So after the news desk, we had a quick little bumper promoting Shit Scared, and that's Rob and Mick, quote, Mick, which is grandmother, forward promoting the upcoming stunt.
A great little stunt, which unfortunately we don't see 23 buses on a motorcycle.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
It's probably not as dangerous, though, as the sort of earlier trailed version of Shit Scared, where the Shit Scared team goes shopping with Jeff Fennick, which is a reference throughout this episode.
The next sketch is, and they rehash the Inappropriate Love Songs with 20 Inappropriate Love Themes, Volume 2.
And they've got a lot more in this sketch too. They make it up to 13. So, yeah, kicking things off. Well, actually, it's technically 14. I didn't note this one down, but from the sketch I remember, it starts off with the start of Love's Theme by the Barry White Orchestra. No, was it Love Unlimited Orchestra? Someone help me out here. Barry White's orchestra, I'm pretty sure. It's that sort of that first bit that leads into Kung Fu Fighting by Carl Douglas.
Nothing says romance like Kung Fu Fighting.
And then it segues into the soul-stirring magic of dueling banjos. The understated splendor of 76 trombones. Then there's the unforgettable theme from Doctor in the House. I reckon that might have been Tony that put that in.
It is very Tony Martin, isn't it?
It's the best punchline.
Then we have the indescribable beauty of those magnificent men in their flying machines. And then the last one we hear is, of course, every lover's classic, C.W. McCall's Convoy.
We got a big convoy.
Rocking through the night.
Oh, my goodness. I reckon you guys seriously think these are love songs. You're really into them.
Yeah.
76 trombones. Oh, hot.
You know, whenever I'm in a romantic mood, I put the Monster Mash on, which is another.
Well, here's a little confession. When I used to produce love song dedications, which was broadcast in Sydney and Melbourne, I tried to squeeze in the theme from Doctor in the House occasionally.
Occasionally.
Yeah.
So you try.
Just imagine the Love God having to intro that.
Oh, I'll do an impression. Hold on. Love song dedications on Mix 106.5. We have Ramesh on the phone. And Ramesh, please tell me what you think about your love, Emma. Oh, yeah? She's a bit all right. And what song would you like? Ah, the theme from Doctor in the House, please. No problem. That's partially true story.
I'm always a fan of these segments because there's so much footage of Santo and Jane just being a couple.
Yeah, great.
And having to spend half a day having to shoot all those little vignettes.
Did you get the list of songs that were scrolling by the bottom?
Yeah, I did. So we've got another 7 in the list that, scrolled by pretty quickly. So The Road to Gundagai, Autobahn by Kraftwerk,
Oh,
The Monster Mash, a throwback to a few episodes ago, Cop Killer. Okay. I'm wondering whether that's the body count version or the Four Kinsmen version. HR Puffin Stuff, Tiny Kangaroo Dance Sport. Oh my gosh. And last of all, an instrumental song called Moldy Old Dough.
And Daniel, if I wanted to buy this album, what are the retailers I need to visit?
Bonnets, which hopefully is nothing like Kitchens. Dr. Sprinkler. I know, I had to have a think about that name, Dr. Sprinkler. That's such an odd name for like, you wonder what the hell shop would be called Dr. Sprinkler.
Is it next to Dashboard Doctor?
Ah!
Yeah.
Like, if you've got a problem with your sprinkler, just buy another one. You don't need to go and see a doctor about it.
That's your
Also,
plan.
why is there a
That's
specialist sprinkler retailer who just goes to a shop that only sells sprinklers?
I think we're overthinking this, guys.
Maybe this is the joke here.
Yeah. All right. Well, in that case, we might move on unless there's one or two that
Just a few more. So I quite like this title, The ABC Reject Shop. Like for all of those British drama videos that just didn't sell. Another throwback to the Weird Shops sketch, Stacks of Slacks, and all Spudhouse outlets.
The next sketch is, well, it's not sketch. The next bit is really Sink the Slipper has returned for the second time, and with Tony and Mick, who are about to wallop the buttocks of Joan Kerner.
And there's so much to lay into her about. They sort of preempt a fair bit of it, going through a laundry list of everything they don't like.
Here I have, it's because of the official inquiry cleared Kerner's government from the Tricontinental Bank disaster. Her butt is so big, it's time to call in reinforcements.
The actual Mick Malloy comes in swinging on a rope.
Yeah, a very dynamic entrance.
It looks pretty dangerous, that, like, you know, because you can see that he basically gets up on a ladder, like quite high up on a ladder, and then they give him just a standard rope, and then he holds onto the rope and he swings in, and he swings in quite violently, and it looks like, you know, if they'd just gone slightly off with the angle of the rope, he could have smashed into some scenery or something.
He could have smashed into Tony's gran.
It looked like he nearly smashed his ankle.
Yeah.
He does it pretty adroitly, though. It looks like maybe he's done it a few times.
Yeah, it's really exciting as an entrance, but also it genuinely looks quite dangerous.
At least there's the padding of Joan's butt nearby.
Yeah.
Tony's grandmother joined in because she lost money in the Pyramid Building Society, referenced from episode 1, and she's offered to kick Joan's butt.
And she lost a whole $29.
I think most people lost 29,000.
Yeah, so that's a really awkward time in life for a lot of people in regards to banks.
I also like how Mick sends Tony's grandmother off. So he's very disappointed with her, and that he had no idea that she went out and shot her own shit scared.
That's right.
As I mentioned before, this was happening during a Victorian state election campaign. And this is a really political sketch, really. It's very anti-Kerner. And I'm really amazed that it managed to get past the ABC, thankfully they didn't have to do a right of reply, to the other side.
I'm sure it would have popped up on Backchat.
Yeah. Like, the only reason I can think that they might have not received any blowback is that, they're an entertainment show as opposed to news and current affairs.
I just can't believe that Joan Kerner appeared on the second series of The Late Show after having the slipper sunk into her in the first series.
Yeah, exactly.
Spoiler alert, Joan Kerner didn't win. Perhaps she didn't care by that time, hopefully.
All right, well, the next sketch is a very produced one, which unfortunately didn't make it to the Best Bits DVD, and that is Bronwyn McKierney, the Queen of the Catalogues.
This is a classic, isn't it? And you're right, it's a bit of a lost gem, as are most things that don't make it to the Best Bits, but wow, what a corker it is.
Yeah, this is one of the first, very massively produced. It looks like it was shot on film rather than, Santo's video recorder. And yeah, one of quite a few that would have been like that. I don't think it was the first, because I'm thinking of we had one earlier on that was Vietnam: The Aftermath. That was also very overproduced, as we could say.
And pre-Photoshop to have Jane in the catalogues looking very, well, she fits right in, doesn't she? She's got lots of personality. She's you got the cheeky, she's alluring, and my favourite one, mysterious, where they just focus on her shoes.
Yeah, so the whole premise of this is that she's a catalogue model and they're comparing her to supermodels. And I love the line where she starts her way at the bottom and they cut to her in undies in a catalogue, and then work my way up to the top, and then it's a cut to her in a bra. Well, not her, but
Yeah, I don't think that's actually Jane.
No.
But, I don't know. Maybe people assumed.
One of my favourite lines is with Bronwyn's ex-manager, Jeff Gold, played by Rob, admitting that he's made a few mistakes, and who could have predicted the flannelette boom of '89?
Yeah.
There's also another line I like, which comes from the voiceover guy, who I think it's the same guy as in the 20 Inappropriate Love Themes that we saw earlier, where she mentions that Bronwyn is the daughter of a Launceston fireman.
I also like one of the voiceover guy's lines later on where he goes, "The strain of this electrical hair care shoot is starting to show." She's got a curler in her hair and she's starting to cry because it's hurting, holding my arm up.
She's getting RSI.
Is this a sort of a parody of that Elle documentary? I'm just wondering, because I don't remember the Elle documentary. Yeah, apart from us talking about it a few weeks ago. Was there a moment where Elle has a kind of a meltdown in that documentary or something?
And goes, I'm sick of it.
Yeah.
I highly doubt it, because, that sort of thing would be very disrespectful to Elle to show that sort of thing in a special that's meant to promote her.
But it's definitely got that feel about it, that sort of expose documentary behind the scenes of a model's life. There's just so many classic lines in this, like when Santo's going, "The red spot special is covering her ponytail." The argument that he has with the photographer is just hilarious. And then it cuts to Jane going, "I try really hard to do justice to the garments."
And I like the Captain Jacuzzi bit where she's like, "I want water in the spa," and then she's like, "No, tell Captain Jacuzzi he can't be in his own ad."
And then it all culminates in this fashion show happening in some in some shopping centre. Does anybody know what shopping centre it is? Just judging from there was some sort of a sculpture in primary colours behind her. I mean, I was distracted more by the green and gold tracksuit that she was wearing. So
yeah. Yeah, that
And
was
the-
like
and
in
the-
front of a Coles. Who has their centre stage in front of a Coles? It was very attractive.
And the occasional shot of a bewildered / indifferent / flummoxed again public.
Yes.
She's only 32. She's got
She's got the world at her feet. And the bit where Santo's calling her on the phone at the end, and he's gone, "You don't deserve to get any good news because you broke my heart."
The punchline to it all is that she's going to go into television, and we see her in a commercial for something called a Swirl-On, and she gets to show it to the camera and say, "Right on, Swirl-On." Was anybody reminded of the hose, the brush with the
castle.
hose in it from the castle? Yes.
Totally.
The next bit is Tony and Mick and Jace on the couch, which would be muckraking, but they discuss the special, very special episode of Hey Dad, where it features the little fat kid and Aussie Joe Bugner, and also Jason and Mick, who make an appearance in it too, apparently. But they show the evidence when they show the scene of the little fat kid running into the house scared. Mr. Kelly opens the door, and Mick and Jace are standing there with baseball bats.
Yeah, Matt, we need this product of its time sting over this segment. 'Cause
Yeah, it is. I
it
feel like
doesn't sit well, does it? It's like they really are mean.
See, I should mention what the Hey Dad episode is. I decided to look it up because, yeah, thankfully we can work out which one it is because it stars Aussie Joe Bugner. So it's an episode titled One Strike from season 9, episode 2, aired on the 9th of September 1992. And the synopsis, according to IMDb, is, well, there's actually 2 plots to this. A gang of bullies beat up Arthur so they get the help of Joe Bugner. And the family sponsor a child through World Vision. So, yeah, very odd.
I'm just mystified that the character's name was Arthur. Like, I just always thought his name was Little Fat Kid.
But yeah, just doing such a lovely thing and sponsoring a child through World Vision, and yeah, all that other stuff was happening as well. Jeez.
So hang on. The plot of this was that the little fat kid got Aussie Joe Bugner to help him against the bullies. So there was an alliance between Aussie Joe and the fat kid.
I'm assuming so. The only other stuff that struck out to me is Robert Hughes's pronunciation of Aussie Joe Bugner.
Yeah, it was weird.
And also Tony asking Mick and Jace, is Aussie Joe Bugner as good an actor as he is a boxer? And them replying, yes, but that's not saying much.
after the little fat kid was bullied and Mr. Kelly hands Aussie Joe a note or whatever it is on his door, and the note says, and cut in a spliced in letter from the Late Show, says, "Dear Aussie Joe, could you come over and punch the crap out of the little fat kid? Signed, the dad from Hey Dad." Yeah, this is so wrong.
It's not signed by that. It's not signed with the name. It's just the dad from Hey Dad.
Yeah. It's not Martin Kelly. It's the dad from Hey Dad.
And there's more of the little fat kid that has been used for motivation, such as Aussie Joe using his face on a punching bag. Ugh.
With such, it's the pissiest punching on that punching bag that you've ever seen in that bit of footage.
And there's Mal Meninga using a football with his face attached, and an archery target.
I wonder what's going to happen here.
It's a positive onslaught of... Yeah, it's horrible. I can't watch it. I'm not watching.
This whole scene just made me...
Time.
That Archer, I wasn't quite sure whether that was Aaron Beaucaire or not. It looks a bit like Aaron, but I'm not too sure.
I thought it's probably him, I would say.
we'll go with that. If we're unsure, it's Aaron Beaucaire or Alf Camilleri. Now for the next segment.
Slightly aggressive bear.
And it's the second episode of Shirty, and for the series, and it's featuring Muffin the sock puppet, and a very piss-weak sock puppet. And after Muffin bags Shirty out, Shirty attacks the puppeteer.
This is a great Shirty, isn't it? It's like you knew you were in for something great, with Shirley going forward because they were prepared to smash up the set. So it's just like, it's a bit shocking because all of a sudden Shirley grabs the sock puppet, wrestles it out of its little hole, and then sort of pushes through the whole set. The whole thing just explodes. And because it's Santo's voice as the sock puppet, and I think I was trying to look hard. I think it actually is Santo. And so we assume that Shirley is Rob. It's this hilarious kind of wrestling scene with the two of them.
I think in the later Shirley, you see a proper shot of Santo as the Muffin Man, essentially. And like Jane Kennedy in this with her amazing colourful skivvy, he's got like an orange skivvy or something, so he looks like a kind of children's TV presenter of the era as well.
We'll move on from that, and guess what?
Hey!
The Olden Days, episode 9. We want mutton chops. And front bottom inner monologues after achieving episode 9 success, which kind of echoes the future of anything Mick Malloy touches. Such as, the Mick Malloy show from 1999, which only lasted 8 episodes. And then when
it was a good show, though. It was an amazing 8 episodes, I'll tell you.
Yeah. And he celebrates achieving the 9th episode when he does The Nation as well.
Nation?
Yeah.
If you listen to, and this is a podcast plug, unintentional, but I recently listened to the Herald Sun's podcast called Sacked, and Mick talks about the Mick Malloy show, and he talks about how his episodes, he only has a certain short period of life on Channel 9. It's a really interesting podcast. If you're just going to get any episode from the Herald Sun, just get that one. That's all you need to do.
Just Mick Malloy's Sack podcast and nothing else.
Now, Front Bottom is expecting TV offers such as Front Bottom's About and Hey Hey It's Front Bottom. And Crawford Productions want Judge Mutton Chops in the lead role in Homicide. So he was quite jealous of that.
Well, he did actually go to Homicide, didn't he? Isn't that the gag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the D-Generation did take the piss out of Homicide with D-Genocide back in the day.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And Front Bottom accuses Oldham of upstaging him by blaming poor scripts. They are, and so forth.
No, they are not. They are not. It's a marvellous waste of time, very funny waste of time doing that. Very simplistic argument that would have been a lot more verbose in the original version.
And Front Bottom is going to perform, or is threatening to perform, South Pacific to prove how good of a performance he can do. So that's a...
I love the line, when this series is over, it's the theatre restaurant circuit for you.
Yeah.
The lucrative theatre restaurant circuit.
Actually, that's a famous faux pas because all the theatre restaurants pretty much closed down in the late 90s, so there's now only like one Dracula's, or maybe not even.
There's a Dracula's on the Goldie.
Well. Yeah.
That's a prime one. Now the next bit is Jane doing her impersonation of a cliche American singer who will release any power ballad.
I really hated this sketch. They can beat up the little fat kid all they like. I don't care. I find that quite funny. But this song I really hated. It really felt like sort of really easy target and slut shaming, and I just sort of didn't quite get the joke. I think it's something that maybe people from a different era found funny, but today, when we're sort of all kind of sex positive and all this, and we understand Me Too and stuff, the idea of blaming someone for trying to get ahead in her career, and having to deal with kind of sexist record producers, it just doesn't sit very well in the Me Too era, I think.
Well, I've got a little grab here if we can just rehash and critique.
I'm one of those beautiful American singers. I sing touching love songs and I keep my eyes shut. I've got a secret to my string of successes. I guess that you could say I'm just a slut.
Yeah. That word just sticks out.
It just clams.
Sorely.
It's not very uncomfortable.
And that word slut also crops up again much further down in another sketch, and yeah, it's just it's jarring. Well, especially today. I mean, I don't know whether it was so bad in 1992.
I feel like the people that are in the DJs era are not offended by it. They used it quite loosely, but I think my era, our era, we were more offended by it. It was just a horrible word, and it very much was about putting the woman down. And I think if anything this era has shown, that isn't the story. There's always some man who's behind the scenes manipulating someone or, putting them in that position. But, I mean, the narrative of this song is actually quite interesting. It isn't so much about slut-shaming. It's about a sort of a Cruella de Vil kind of character who's doing whatever he can to knife her rivals in the back. And it's quite amusing.
Also taking advantage of that, cliched casting couch, essentially.
Yeah, it is slightly uncomfortable, I think, because, it sort of puts down or sort of degrades female ambition, and there's nothing wrong with women being ambitious, and this song basically all turns it into kind of, oh, she only got there because she slept with people type thing. Whereas it's fine to be ambitious, and it sort of puts down the ambition element of it, I think, which I find a bit distasteful.
Yeah.
The other sort of paradox about it is that Jane Kennedy sings it very well, very competently. And it's essentially it's I know it's not Jane technically, she's playing a role, but it's not putting Jane in the best light, really. And unfortunately, because it's the first season, she's sort of the only one that could really fulfill this role.
It's also a little bit too slow. It's a bit boring. If they just increase the tempo of it a little bit.
But that defeats the purpose of a ballad.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
To me, it doesn't seem like
not
this
a well-written
sketch goes on very long. Like it seems to be only be over in a couple of minutes, really.
I think the music could have been a lot better. Like, generally speaking, with comedy songs, they're better musically. There are some very well-written comedy songs out there, the Python songs or the Goodies songs or whatever, and, this is just a kind of badly written comedy song.
Straight off the synth.
Yeah, it's pretty much a poem set to music.
Well, we really laid the boot. We really sucked the
slipper on that one, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Well done, everyone.
And the last thing I'll say about it is, like, the only sort of joke in this song that I kind of liked is referencing Gloria Estefan, who had a big bus crash that almost. I think it was almost fatal, wasn't it?
Yeah, about the spinal injury.
Yeah.
Or broke her back or something like that. Product of its time.
Very much so. Take another drink. Product of its time. Yeah.
The next, and we got a Spaz family update, and Marjorie is forced to make a mercy dash after Athol swallows his tri-pillow.
I'm just invested in the Spaz family now. It's what's going to happen next?
I'm so intrigued.
I'm more intrigued by the choice of names. They're lovely and sort of old fashioned to go along with that image that gets put up.
Well, I assume is named after Athol Guy from the Seekers.
Oh, definitely.
I'm going to try and when we work out when the last update of the Spaz family is, I'm going to put together a major story list right in one of the episodes of the podcast just to see how far they've come along. And
we can go through the Spazzy saga.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I think we all probably missed the first time round, and like now it's like, what is this? Oh my goodness.
Hey, we're missing loads of laughs and spazzy hijinks. So we have the next bit is a sketch, and that's the Paralympic news reading with patronising news presenters.
Oh yeah.
Anyone want to take a hit at this one?
I think this one really does hit its mark, really, in that, especially at that time, I would say a lot less now, but yeah, there would be those very patronising comments that would be made by newsreaders, like hopefully meaning well, but yeah, ultimately looking just patronising.
Yeah, they really nailed it, didn't they? That whole, it really warms your heart. And what does Rob say when he wins the award? He goes,
oh, God, yes.
Yeah, Oh,
Isn't it
it's
just
nice.
like
They've got their
normal
own
people?
competition, just like normal people.
Yeah. He looks like a bit of a sort of prototype Mike Moore there as well, which I enjoyed.
Yeah.
Well, see,
Doesn't it make you feel
also
normal?
Jane is red-haired as well,
Yeah.
which is sort of going against frontline type.
I did add up the individual scores that the countries gave, and they were all correct this time.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, my pedantry kicked
yay
in.
for that.
Yeah. Pedantry. Pedantry.
The next segment, Mick talks about Kerry Packer showing his power after pulling the plug from Naughtiest Home Videos the week before. Now, Tony and Mick hit the streets and asking what TV show would you pull off the air, which is basically what you were asking about last episode, Daniel. Now,
Yeah.
guess what that show was? A lot of it was Chances.
I was
Is that John
wondering
Wang?
No,
Sounds a lot like Fonzie.
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Mm,
No, I heard that on the Champagne Comedy podcast feed as the little teaser, and take another drink. I was flummoxed. I had no idea what that was.
Well, there you go. That's why it's called a teaser.
Well teased.
You
Thanks.
obviously weren't allowed to stay up and watch Chances when you were a kid.
Oh hell no, no, not as I was an 8-year-old at the time, so definitely not.
There's a rogue episode or two on YouTube, so if you look hard enough, you'll be able to find an episode or bit, but none of Kate Langbrooks.
Isn't there a DVD of like best episodes or something?
Yeah, Volume 1 and Volume 2. And in fact,
Wow.
one of them was they had commentary by the great TV historian Andrew Mercado.
And yeah, probably like most Aussie TV DVDs, they're probably long out of print.
They are.
Yeah.
Here's the list of all the shows that people wanted to be taken off the air during the street talk. Chances, 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 Chances.
Sexy.
The Morning Show / Today. Chances, Naughtiest Home Videos, Colette Mann, Sale of the Century. And there was a woman who loved Naughtiest Home Videos, and the
was
producer,
great.
Mark Gibson, said The Late Show.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But my favourite is
Sexy.
which I reckon that might have been a reference to the sex specials.
I think so, yeah.
Sexy.
He was so enthusiastic about it. It's like, what show?
Sexy.
Like, we have no idea what that is, but you like it.
But there was that guy, one of the friends of
Sexy.
was trying to describe the morning show to the Today Show with Steve Lieberman and all that. So,
And Liz Hayes.
yes.
I don't know what they're talking about. It goes over my head.
Yeah.
Isn't it fascinating that, like, just unprompted, there was a good 7 or 8 people who just said Chances.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
I'm from Adelaide. Chances, not chances.
I like the
Sounds
editing,
like a song.
and there's a really good pause where the guy's going, "Oh, it's hard to say. Maybe Chances."
Sexy.
My favourite bit is I can't remember how they get talking about Ernie Sigley, and then one of them says,
Yeah.
"Have you heard him sing?" And the guy goes, "Oh shit, no."
Yeah, I love that.
Everyone just laughs.
I'm doubly amused by this because I am actually the owner of an Ernie Sigley album, and I have heard him sing, and he is not great. I'm gonna.
That's unfortunate. But
I also like the Sale of the Century. One of them doesn't like, the old man doesn't like Sale of the Century, and the other old guy's going,
Sexy.
let me start that bit again.
sorry.
The old man who doesn't know who Glenn Ridge or Joe Bailey are.
That's
And the other guy going, they're the Cortez! Oh, you don't know how these people are!
I think that guy, the one who said
Sexy.
was the one who, in a future episode, or might have been hanging around the same area where it was talking about the Australian national anthem, and he's going to 150 years.
Oh, yes.
Well, he was wearing the same suit, so it might be the brown suit.
Although they often go to Ackland Street in the more famous street talks, but this one definitely seemed like Glen Huntly Road, which is sort of near the Elsternwick Studios. I'm not sure, but it had a couple of key landmarks like Le Bon Cake Shop, which is pretty famous. But also, did you see the sign for Fossies? Like, that's long gone.
Another product of its time.
Oh, I loved Fossies.
My favourite bit in this street talk was the guy who's wearing a bandana, and he's talking about the show he doesn't like, and then Mick just goes, "Yeah, so more pirate shows on TV."
Didn't that end up in the best bits?
Probably.
Yeah.
As did the one person who liked Naughtiest Home Videos. Quote, especially the fellas with the hats. Now, has anybody actually watched Naughtiest Home Videos since our last episode?
Hell no.
No.
Because the fellas with the hats is this. Essentially, it's almost burlesque. Like, it's essentially four naked men, each holding two hats, sort of covering their genitals up with it, and then sort of moving it in time to, this is the kicker, moving in time to the song "All Around My Hat" by Steel Eye Span.
What?
I know, it's such a again flummoxing but very entertaining, especially when one of the men loses the rhythm and accidentally puts his hat in a wrong position.
God, it reminds me of those naked guys on Hey Hey It's Saturday for Red Faces.
Yeah, pretty much a similar sort of a thing. But yeah, this was. I mean, I don't know what this would have been performed in the context of, but somebody shot it with a home video and decided that it's good enough for Channel 9 on Saturday at 6:30.
And when this lady
I thought, geez, I'll send it in, and I won't even send in the check or money order for them to send it back.
The lady who was loving that show, clutching her bag, she got so coy and she's just giggling like a schoolgirl when she's talking about that sketch. And then Mick just goes, "Oh, yep, see the old genitalia, do you?" And her friend has never seen it. She's like, "Oh, no, I never saw it." You don't know what you're missing, lady.
The other exchange I really love is the conversation that Mick has with the delivery guy, and they're talking about chances, and he says, "No, I don't like it. They don't show enough front." And then Mick recommends to him to hire from the video shop naked aerobics. And then he says there'll probably be a late fee out on that one.
I like, he said something like, "I found it very satisfactory," and I'm thinking, "Oh, you know where you're heading with that one."
It would have been either that or sexy girls with sexy guns.
Sexy.
The next segment is Talking Crap with Justin Chardonnay, Tony, and his guest, Nigel Ryan Risling, Jason, from the Arts Council. So we're going to talk like this the entire segment.
Very accurate depiction of the Arts Council, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Did any of them know Brett?
Well, yeah,
I quite
exactly.
enjoyed how Tony looked a lot like James Valentine as well. Which kind of
again
vibe.
Yeah, again with those glasses, same as the Who Knew Brett Best sketch from episode 1. He looks the most like Griff Rhys-Jones that he ever does with the big glasses and that perm.
Yeah.
Yes.
This whole sketch with the premise of it being a couple of dodgy jokes about stomping ground, though, it was a bit of a, I don't know, low light.
Yeah, they spoke about grant money, and in order to get the money, you need to have a full, overblown and misguided concept. Just like Graham Murphy's 4.5-hour production of Empire of Pate. At the cost of $3 million. So,
See, I can totally imagine that a 90s sort of, Adelaide Festival would in fact have a production very close to Empire of Pate, because I remember going along to seeing stuff a bit like that. Well, not quite Empire of Pate, but I remember it being in the program. you know, and Philip Glass music and all those kind of, you know, 1990s artsy things. They're all referenced in this.
The gigantic Salada.
Yes.
Yeah.
They managed to get a few good jokes in there, like what was it, a statue of Brett Whiteley or Richard Stubbs, I haven't decided.
There's an obscure joke about Andrew McFarlane as well, so yeah, don't know what that was all about.
Oh, yeah, I actually have in my September 26th TV week, there's an article that references Andrew McFarlane, but basically he gave an interview to the gay magazine Outrage back in 1992, and he claims his quotes were taken out of context and that he never actually went out and discussed his sexuality, and that his answers were, the actual quote was that he says, I've never made a statement declaring my sexuality or indeed any intimate aspect of my private life. It is disgraceful that a person's private life and reputation should be misrepresented by the press making statements that could easily harm the individual concerned. So he reckons that after this interview, a lot of the newspapers took his quotes out of context, and the magazine itself. So that's all allegedly. So.
Well, see, Wikipedia says like the Wikipedia page for Andrew McFarlane says just he has long been open about his homosexuality.
But did he admit?
I mean, I don't recall seeing a citation needed next to that.
But did he admit that he was in patrol boat?
Well, certainly Wikipedia makes no bones about it.
Yeah. But he did play the automatic teller machine in a future Olden Days episode. Next segment, Shit Scared and Safety with Guns. This was a very Aaron Beaucaire specialty, wasn't it, this episode?
I actually find this episode really scary. I know that's lame, but yeah.
No, it's not too lame, because I think we're now fully uncomfortable with the fact that anything to do with guns, it's now just why?
Yeah.
And guns were easy to obtain before everything happened.
And, you know, there's all those urban myths, I suppose, or maybe they are factual, of, like, actors being actually killed by stunt guns, you know, like...
Well, it's not a myth. I mean, wasn't Brandon Lee probably most famously?
Yeah.
Right, yeah.
On the set of The Crow.
Yeah. Well, the movie that Rob is talking that they're trying to do a stunt for is the sequel to Storm Boy. Now, here's a quick description. The movie they're working on is Storm Boy, the sequel, and he's nursing a pelican back to health, and then he's going to shoot it. So it's aimed at the US market. And Storm Boy is played...
I love how blasé they are about, well, you know, like it's for the Americans, so guns.
Yep. Storm Boy is Mel Gibson. The Black Tracker is Danny Glover. And Grandmother is Michelle Pfeiffer.
Okay. I love the way how Rob describes it as a light pelican movie.
And they have stunt girls.
He also says that the Americans know how to pitch pelican movies.
But yeah, this one was weird because of what happens at the end.
Yeah, so like the next scene is Rob gets shot in the chest, and that's actually what I found really quite shocking, even though, you know, it's a great stunt, I suppose. It's like, oh, God. And I've often heard that comedians won't let their kids watch them on their old shows. You know, they won't sort of bring that out until they're like 18 or something. And I think if I was one of the Stitch children, I probably wouldn't want to watch that. It's terrible. It's just terrifying. And it's quite an effective blood pack that explodes on his chest.
The surprising thing about all of it is that it's such big explosions and such big moments captured on such an intimate home video device, essentially. So you're like you're not expecting a big explosion on, you know, such a crappy medium.
But you see the very end of that sketch in a compilation montage type thing at the end of Best Bits of the Late Show episodes during the credits where Rob's head gets shot off.
Yeah, also very effective.
It also gets brought up later on in a sketch that also features, by now Dr. Aaron Beaucaire as an example of violence on TV. The DGen doing their part for violence there. The other thing which is kind of interesting about this is after the first time that Mech accidentally shoots Rob. Rob starts the sentence, never ever, and Tom finishes it, never ever work with Mick. And Rob replies, that was gratuitous. Accurate, but gratuitous. And from memory, I think they say on the DVD commentary that was a bit of a reference to a time when they had Bob Hawke in their radio studio when they were doing their breakfast show. Bob Hawke said in relation to some other joke that they said that it was funny but wrong. Not a very funny anecdote, but
That's all right. Hold on.
Me?
Here's a sympathy.
There we go. Sound effects can save it.
Thank you, Murray. Now, the next segment is Tom and Jane and Santo on the couch. Now, this is a bit different from what they usually do because they're talking about fast food takeaway. And they pretty much break down what you would usually eat on a Saturday night to watch The Late Show. And Jane prefers the Big Mac, and Tommy puts the pickle under the microscope just to show what they've been eating. And up on the pickle or on the screen it says, danger, do not eat. That's a...
Yeah. As Jane says, she's a McDonald's woman and a pickle woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe the advertising on the ABC.
yeah, especially when Tommy gives KFC or Kentucky Fried Chicken a bit of a run. Going through the entire bucket, he goes, he prefers the refresher towel.
Yeah,
at least with these brand mentions, at least McDonald's and KFC get a really good kicking.
Yeah, he does say it comes in a bucket for good reason.
But my favourite, though, is Santo, when he's asked what he prefers, and he says, and I quote, "Us wogs don't do takeout. We prefer to sell it."
Gets a great round of applause from the audience, too.
He has the capricciosa pizza, which is the go-to, with the anchovy remover. So, and where he lifts up an anchovy and it's all attached to a string. So, more or less.
Nothing like a crappy prop.
Yes, thank you. That's what it was. Now we have a very, very popular sketch, and that is the 1992 Pot Black Championships with Mick versus Eddie Charlton.
Yeah.
This is probably my favourite Mick Malloy bit on the whole Late Show.
Ah, nice, Kim. Kim has put up on her background an image of Mick pretty much poking Kim's back with a cue stick.
That's right. Using the poop stick. He's not really in that one, but that was one of those quotes that I'm sure a lot of us would have said in the playground the next day. The poop stick. And I think at that point I'd never actually played pool, and when I actually went and did the first time, we were like, bring out the poop stick. We got so excited when we saw it.
I can remember at high school one time for PE, we went to a pool place that was nearby to essentially play pool. And yeah, I could not get these lines out of my head. Right away then. Mutters away, is it?
Eddie Charlton, what a great player and team player for this sketch, really.
I really like that as well. The guy playing the referee, he's just absolutely brilliant at kind of siding with Charlton and, a slightly snooty kind of overseer. He's really good as well.
Like, they are quite great because it's very non-verbal.
Yeah.
That whole exchange where Mick calls for the chalk and he's like, you should put it on some strings so some idiots don't steal it, and then he proceeds to pocket it himself. Like, the guy's acting beside him is really great in that moment.
Oh, another line, just watch the roll down, Eddie. Savage. Again, I could not stop saying these throughout my crappy playing of pool for school. Eddie Charlton is, again, a very good sport because right at the end, with Mick winning the game, he de-pants himself and runs around the table.
Yeah.
Which is tradition.
So I'm imagining the conversation that would have had to go on. Look, Eddie, we want to end this sketch with you in your underpants. How do you feel about that?
Yeah. Just wear some big white boxer shorts. It'll be fine.
Yeah, make sure it's the good underpants.
The next segment is the toilet break with Jace, and he introduces the Natural 7, Fly Me to the Moon.
Fill my heart with song and let me sing forevermore. You are all I long for. are the words I love you.
Apparently that happened in 2001, so we should be on the moon right now.
Yeah, not dressed like that. We're not.
Oh, come on.
Yeah.
Costumes in this toilet break, unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's like Star Trek on acid. It's really mad.
It's such a letdown from last week's Son of a Preacher Man. Like, that was really funky. It was really funky and freak out. Yeah. This is just...
Straight back to
God.
Dansville. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the shame of this particular toilet break is there's absolutely no dancing.
No.
They just simply swivel around in their chairs.
Like a really dodgy Star Trek setup, yeah.
Yeah.
The bloke being sort of Captain Kirk is also, he's sitting in this big chair and he looks really incredibly uncomfortable, and he just sort of really stiffly sits there singing his song in a very, very deep voice.
Yeah, Tom Jones wannabe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got a really weird vibe to it, because I think probably because there's no choreography and because it's so downbeat and they're in these stupid outfits.
And also the fact that they sing this song for most of the time as a waltz, except for some sort of a bridge in it, which I don't think is part of the original song, where they talk about how
it's a total massacring of "Fly Me to the Moon."
Like they sing about, like, isn't it a miracle that we're the generation that'll fly to the moon, and isn't it enough to make you proud to be a man?
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Showing its 70s origin there.
Now, we have time for a news update, and Lebanese soldiers go on the attack against a sworn enemy of the people.
Fly me to the moon and let me stay among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
Great gag, that one.
Yeah, fantastic. And Denmark citizens celebrate National Dickhead Day with the footage of people wearing oval-shaped yellow helmets that look like knobs. The Princess of Wales demonstrates her natural warmth and affinity with the young, and cue a little scene of a gifted flowers being thrown into a bin.
And it got absolute silence from the audience, and deservedly so. Again, not as bad as the Queen Mother being given a sign that says "Die, you old bag," but gee, it's pretty up there.
Yeah. So, the UN met to discuss the Siski massacre and was met with a minute of silence, except for the South African representative who insisted on singing rugby songs. And Mr. Van Handel, Santo, who ordered the soldiers to execute, responds to the criticism by shooting the camera.
Again, it was making a salient point, but not a funny one.
Yeah. So the president of Tajikistan resigns, sorry if I've said that incorrectly, after telling his people to stop wearing their traditional headdress and use the environmentally friendly plastic version. And it shows footage of men in raincoats. That's really wrong product of its time.
Yeah, a product of trying to find a gag to just fit any old footage.
Yeah, war jokes and misery. Yeah,
That was the second bandana joke of the episode, where the Willie Nelson bandana, and there's the pirate guy earlier on in the street interviews.
Yeah. And here's another one. In Ireland, 4 men who were being held hostage in Beirut are reunited, and they are made to feel at home when they get together, and they show footage of feet chained together. Tasteless, but yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know why I'm saying tasteless. It's like a...
Well, yeah. I mean, just this whole news update segment. It's making a lot of jokes out of a lot of very serious news. And the other sort of weird thing is that this comes on very, very late in the episode. I think this might be with maybe about 10, 15 minutes to go.
Yeah.
Really. And yeah, considering all of the material, it really should have been cut.
Well, the next one, I am not going to dive too much into it, but as a lot of it was visual, and it's about the Paralympics rocked by a drug scandal, and I think I might skip this one. About the shot putter. So, mutual agreement, we all just move on from that one? Yeah. Very cool, very cool. That's pretty much it of the news desk. And now we have Mick...
It's over very quickly, thankfully.
Yeah. And we have part 2 of a quick little gag of the snooker competition again with Mick and Eddie Charlton. And Mick goes, best out of 3, Eddie. and then Mick and then Eddie goes and attempts to break a cue stick over Mick's back.
Yeah, there he goes for it a second time.
Yeah.
It really did seem like a walloping.
Okay, and guess who's back?
Slightly aggressive bear.
And it's time to look through the square window. Maybe they'll see a fire engine.
Yeah, and Toby wants to look through the window as well, and boy, does he.
Dirty to be helpful to Toby, isn't it? You know,
He was being very supportive.
Right up to that window.
Yeah.
I love the way they've directed the kid because he looks like he's being told to act like he's completely in love with Jane. Like, have you seen the look on his face? It's just like, oh, I really want to stand next to Jane.
Should ask him now how he feels.
So, yeah, Toby gets, I think the technical term is defenestrated. Is that the name for going through a window? The glass that the window's made out of looks like that very breakable sort of, I think it's called sugar glass. That's used in props.
Very Aaron Beaucaire. So we have Graham and the Colonel. And there's a very extensive agenda of topics that they try to cover. And now
no time to dally either.
No, yes. Now, is this where you're a bit pedantic on this about Mr. Andre? Insert name here. No. How do you pronounce it?
Agassi.
Because the Colonel says Agassi.
Ooh,
now I'm not sure whether I'm getting it. Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm getting it right or wrong now.
No, I think it's Agassi.
It was always Agassi. The commentators would always say Agassi, and I'm wondering if Agassi is maybe the Italian pronunciation.
Oh, yes, because of his background. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I decided to just Google Andre Agassi pronunciation.
Uh-oh.
And it brings up a YouTube video. Hang on, I'll bring it up on my phone so that you can all hear it.
We're learning so much this episode.
Well, this podcast, other than to review, make fun of, critique, and cringe, it's also to educate. So give us a 5-star rating on iTunes and any podcast platform that you listen to for us, please.
So I'm going to hold it up to the thing, and hopefully you'll hear it.
Andre Agassi.
Agassi.
It's probably going to say it again.
Agassi.
There we go.
Agassi.
Andre Agassi.
Oh, shut up. There we go.
Yeah, I can imagine the Italians would say Agassi or something like that. You know, that makes sense.
Well, they describe him as a very flamboyant character.
I do love the bit where Rob goes, there's so much to get through, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, I can list off...
Again, they're really trying to fill the time, which is why he keeps talking about we must not dally and, you know, we've got all this.
Yeah. Well, there's the conviction of the Jeff Fennick assault. This is all back in its time. Not now, back in its time. And it came down to a split decision. Oh, Jesus.
I didn't mind that joke just because it's a boxing reference, really.
Yeah. But he had character references, Mike Tyson, Don King, and as the Graham says, one is in jail and one should be. Then they talk about the racing. Let's Elope got scratched, and then there was something about a spring joke. Someone in the audience got it.
Yeah, someone really laughed in this bit, didn't they?
Yeah. Greyhound season was over. There was 23 starts for and no placings. They have over-raced the Chihuahua.
Is that the bit where Santo goes, it still rankles me, Graham?
Yep. And
I like how they've got the checklist of things that they have to tick off. And have we done the Tibet thing? Unsuccessfully, but we have done it.
Well, here's the thing. I actually got a snippet of that because of mainly what happens with Graham.
Have we done the tennis?
And we've done the tennis.
Have we done the Fennick thing?
Unsuccessfully, but we did that.
Have we done
Just that laugh where it loses it.
He just his head hits the desk, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Also, Rob and Santo do some really excellent dog miming in this Graham and the Colonel sketch. There's this hilarious bit where Rob's got his hands up as ears, dog ears, and he's like, they're flying behind his head. It is just hilarious. It's a very visual thing. If you ever see this Graham and the Colonel, I'm telling you, dog miming.
Dog miming the key. Cool. And then
that and the long list of dogs they've tried to race, like Cocker Spaniels and,
Oh, that's Diamond Star. Diamond Star, the Cocker Spaniel.
Yeah.
She was only slowed down because of her ears, though, so... you got to give them credit for trying. And then they ended up saying one little political thing, which was the Arab-Israeli land for peace deal. And it has the Colonel flummoxed.
Yeah, this is a subject ripe for comedy.
Yeah, because the Colonel wants to know where does Alibaba and the 40 Thieves fit in. And that's a joke. Yeah.
But it's a good lead into the timeshare joke.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
I like the timeshare joke, which in a weird way would sort of be a solution to the Arab-Israeli conflict.
Well, that's what they say, isn't it? They say that all of this stuff that's going on with trying to negotiate, and the Colonel, he's just come up with the solution. And the great thing is that you can, if you don't want to do those 2 weeks, you can swap them for another occupied territory.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Club Yarrawonga again.
Yeah. It's a very serious subject that's being milked for very silly jokes.
Now we have the closing, and that's with the ever-expanding Bert Newton Gallery. Even with Birdwatch, from the Bert Newton Appreciation Society. That was years before Facebook and fan sites.
Oh, yeah.
Although it's probably an early example of what would be termed zines.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is like, it's sort of like a homemade magazine, essentially. Put together with a bit of cheap desktop publishing software and a few photocopiers.
Well, I'm pretty confident, if the current technology didn't exist, Champagne Comedy would be in that category.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. and if you do look up Birdwatch, you find it online. There's one reference. It's available at the Monash University Library.
Oh, fantastic.
Yay! So that's the only reference on all of the internet.
If someone can borrow it and then scan it, for off-site archiving purposes, because you never know what... I'd love to see a couple of pages.
I want to see Bert's Wonderful World of Wonder. Which, if you pause that Tony Martin holding up the page there, for some reason it's got a picture of Rocky and Bullwinkle.
Yes.
And also some sort of a big headline that says, "What are you doing about it?" So, like, I'm wondering if that Birdwatch is an actual. Well, actually, if it's in Monash Library, then it must be an actual thing and not a joke.
Yeah, dead set real.
Yep.
I did love that Tony's line. Australia's top artists have abandoned the Archibald and are going for the Bert.
Yeah, we should probably talk about that a little bit, because there's quite a lot of submissions to the Bert Newton Art Prize, as Tony calls it, which, like, it does show there's enough people watching this show that they would voluntarily submit their pictures of Moonface. Just like out of something, like, I think it had only been a couple of weeks, and it was just probably a throwaway thing, and suddenly people are submitting full artworks.
Well,
yeah, my question is, whatever happened to the Berta Lisa and all these other artworks? Are they in the Monash Library?
The more important question.
But why aren't they sitting right next to blue poles in Parliament House?
Yeah.
Come on, National Gallery, get your act together. We want to see the Berts.
when we get somebody from Working Dog on this show, that's going to be question number one.
Yeah.
What happened to all those birds?
Top priority.
Okay, everyone, on Twitter, and make sure you tag us, TLS Champagne. Send a tweet to Tony or Jane or Tom or Working Dog and ask, where are the Bert heads from?
Well, hey,
yeah,
and
also,
now.
Yeah.
Also reference in Monash University Library and the National Gallery of Australia into the tweet.
Yes, and you could win a copy of Any Questions for Ben, an unopened DVD from a $2 shop.
Well, while you're at it, tag in the National Film and Sound Archive too.
Yes.
Yeah, because if Martin Malloy can get in there, where are the Berts?
We want our Berts. I'm seeing a spin-off Bert podcast coming up.
Oh, gosh.
And so also we have one worst album cover, which is Los Indios Tabarrajas Rogers. It's in Spanish. I'm sorry.
There's 10 tracks and they're all from Hawaii Five-0.
Yes. And any little Easter egg from our Mr. Favourite Hirsch?
No, I didn't see that one, but I did see Send In Your Berts right at the end.
Yeah. Well, notice the credits did drop out for like a split second when that happened too.
Oh.
Yeah, it's nice that they put in Send In Your Berts. It's to the Late Show what keeps circulating the tapes is to Mystery Science Theater 3000. And yeah, Michael Hirsch was in there. His credit was Better You Don't Ask, Michael Hirsch.
What does that mean?
Maybe it was Joan Kerner's ass.
I think Bert Newton, from what I've read, he isn't very well at the moment. So best wishes to Bert to get better soon.
Yeah, if you follow Patty Newton on Instagram, you can see pictures of Bert in hospital. He's been in hospital recently. I'm not entirely sure why, but yeah, not well. Get well, Bert.
Yes, get well, Bert.
There's Patty Newton's most recent Instagram showing Bert Newton in hospital.
Ah, how nice.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Anyway, here's Belvedere. All right, Moira, that's it. Anyway, here's Moira. So, audience tickets, and Myrtle Woods is standing with Mick and Tony, with Tony asking what he thought of his grandmother's impression, and Mick responds it's like looking into a mirror. And that pretty much wraps it up the episode.
Yeah, pretty much. Tony also makes a little bit of a flub saying, Crawl, don't write in because you'll make a dick of yourself. Really, Tony, language in front of your grandmother.
Swear jar. That pretty much wraps everything up. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'm going to squeeze in just one little thing. We didn't get any extra entries for the best Late Show quote, other than
come on.
Well, we've got these four.
I made love to her like a tiger.
Good day from Dominic. How are you?
Ladies and gentlemen, do you believe in mental telepathy? No, I hear you think.
You can say what you want about me.
Yep, and there was also this late entrance.
Please calm yourselves. Thank you very much. Welcome to The Late Show, coming live to you around Australia on the ABC. And how much does it cost our viewers these days? 8 cents a day.
8 cents a
and
day.
we promise you will be getting your 8 cents worth tonight.
Yeah. See, it just shows that. So you were a very early entrant.
Somehow, I don't think you're eligible, Kim.
Send us your best quotes. Hell, send us your best Berts on Twitter as well. But email champagnelateshow@gmail.com with your voice recording, or send us a tweet at TLS Champagne, or visit our website champagnecomedy.com and hit us up in the forum if you want, or visit Facebook, The Late Show, or was it fb.com/champagnecomedy. Other than that, yeah, this is the final episode for 2020 when we've recorded this, just in case you're listening to this in 2021, or maybe you're listening to this on the moon. So... Yeah.
I imagine when Andy Thomas was up there, he just had that on a loop.
Yep. That's Andy Thomas. We're still continuing on doing all the episodes, so we still have another 31 to go. So thank you for bearing with us. I just want to say we'll be back next year, mid-January. We'll have some more. But stay subscribed because I plan to release some little extra bits and pieces, fingers crossed, okay? So you'll get a little bit, some more surprise. I just want to say thank you very much, Alison. Thank you very much, Prue. Thank you very much, Daniel. Thank you very much, Kim. Also, thank you as well, Tony, who is our casual drop-in. He will return next year. And we do have a few guests that I have promised offline. They're still coming. Just I thought we'll wait till the next year and start it all over again. So we've got a bit of a lineup, a lot of fans who are willing to be part of this podcast as well.
And thank you, Matt.
All good. Thank you.
You're the one that manages to edit whatever this is into something a bit more coherent.
Oh, clearing out all the legal mumbo jumbo.
Together.
And also to please the Warnicky out there.
Yeah, there's a few things on this fortnight's episode that are gonna hit the cutting room for, which
I save it all.
We're very privileged, the four of us, to hear.
Thank you, the listener on the podcast, and thanks for putting up. Yep.
Just the one.
Just the one. Yeah. Well, if I download it twice, that makes it more. So, cheers, and we'll catch you in the next episode. See you in about a month's time. Bye. Thank you for listening to the Champagne Comedy Podcast, created by fans for the fans. For more information on this podcast, please visit champagnecomedy.com. Produced by Matt Fulton Productions, mattfulton.com.au.